Every relationship creates a shared space, a place where identity, attachment, and individuality begin to overlap. But connection was never meant to erase who you are. In Relational Gravity, we explore the psychology behind closeness and how me and we can exist at the same time without either one disappearing. Not all distance is disconnection, and not all closeness is intimacy. In the last episode, we explored the compromise cycle, the quiet pattern that teaches identity to soften in the name of harmony. Tonight, we move into a deeper psychological space, because beneath compromise and drift lies a skill most people were never taught. That skill is differentiation. Differentiation is the ability to remain emotionally connected without dissolving into the connection itself. For many people, differentiation feels uncomfortable at first. Not because they don't value individuality, but because emotional closeness has been associated with sameness. If harmony has always meant agreement, the difference can feel like risk. The nervous system reads emotional distance and interprets it as instability. When individuality begins to reappear, even gently, it can create an internal tension. Not conflict with your partner, but rather conflict within yourself. A quiet question begins to form. Can I be fully myself and still feel connected? In highly fused relationships, identity often becomes shared before it becomes understood. Decisions happen quickly because roles are familiar. Responses feel predictable because emotional rhythms are aligned. Fusion feels efficient, but efficiency is not always intimacy. When two identities overlap completely, emotional presence can quietly fade. You don't need to check in with yourself when you already know what the shared answer will be. Over time, emotional awareness begins to flatten. This does not happen in a dramatic way. It happens just enough that the inner voice becomes harder to hear. What needs to be clarified is that differentiation is not about creating distance. Differentiation is about creating clarity. It means noticing when your thoughts end and where the relationship begins. It means allowing preferences to exist even when they differ. It also means recognizing that agreement is not the only form of connection. Psychologically, differentiation requires tolerating discomfort. The discomfort of being seen as separate. The discomfort of holding a thought that doesn't immediately align. Discomfort is not disconnection. It is the nervous system learning a new kind of safety, one where individuality is allowed to breathe inside the bond. There is a quieter truth that many people don't talk about. Sometimes, closeness becomes a place where identity hides. This is not because one partner may be controlling. It is usually because shared identity feels easier than navigating personal uncertainty. When you define yourself through the relationship, you don't have to constantly redefine yourself alone. And for a while, that can feel grounding. Eventually, though, something will begin to feel incomplete, not empty, just unfinished, as though parts of your identity are awaiting for permission to return. True differentiation doesn't ask you to step away. It asks you to stay while remaining internally anchored. You can hold a different opinion and still feel close. You can pursue a separate interest and still feel aligned. You can experience emotional independence without emotional isolation. The goal is not separation. The goal is presence. Two individuals standing in the same place, fully aware of themselves and each other. When differentiation is practiced gently, it does not weaken connection, it deepens it, because connection becomes chosen, not assumed. As you listen, please consider this. When was the last time you noticed a difference between yourself and your partner and allowed that difference to exist without immediately resolving it? Do you feel most connected when you agree or when you feel understood? And when you imagine expressing a fully formed thought, does it feel grounding or slightly uncertain? These questions aren't meant to create distance. They are meant to illuminate the space where identity begins to breathe again. Differentiation is not a dramatic transformation. It is a quiet internal realignment. A moment where you begin to feel your own emotional center again, not outside the relationship, but within it. The relationship doesn't lose its meaning. It gains depth. This is because when individuality becomes visible, connection becomes intentional. Two people are no longer moving by default. They are moving by choice. Sometimes, the deepest form of closeness is not found in merging. It is found in allowing space, enough space for identity to expand without threatening the bond. Differentiation doesn't pull you away from love. It changes how love is experienced. Less automatic, more aware, less fused, more present. You don't have to become separate to become whole. You only have to remain conscious of where you end and where the relationship begins. Because me and we were never meant to compete. They were meant to evolve side by side, distinct, connected, and alive at the same time. In our final episode, we explore integration, the psychological balance where individuality and partnership stop negotiating and begin moving in harmony. Connection doesn't ask you to disappear. It asks you to remain fully visible even as you move together. And the space between me and we is where awareness lives. This is relational gravity, where two identities continue moving side by side.